Hi, we're the Mouse Couple, and I have motion sickness, but we still love cruising with Disney Cruise Line. So today we're going to share all of our tips and tricks to help you prep for your Disney cruise sailing if maybe you're like me and you're a little worried about the motion of that ocean. So let's get started.
So first things first, our upcoming sailing aboard the Disney Treasure marks my 9th sailing with Disney Cruise Line and your 7th. So we are no stranger to Disney Cruise Line or just cruising in general. And these are some of the tips that we find best to combat your motion sickness and sometimes my own on our many different sailings in many different areas of the world. So first things first, with planning the cruise, some steps you can take before you actually board the ship.
Before you even book,
True. Is deciding on itinerary, deciding on this ship. So first off, deciding on the ship. The larger the ship, the less motion you will feel. So the Triton class, so the Wish, the Treasure, soon to be the Destiny, is going to be the smoothest sailing compared to the older ships, specifically the Magic or the Wonder, that are significantly smaller and will be moving a lot more with the waves and the water. So if you're prone to motion sickness, the bigger ships like the Wish and the Treasure are going to be the way to go. So that's what ship you should sail on. As far as the itinerary goes,
I will say though, we've sailed on every class,
yes,
and I have been A-okay.
Yes.
There have been times when things have gotten a little rough, but with our tips and tricks, we've been able to help me get through.
Exactly. So as far as the itinerary choice goes, if you are brand new to cruising and you're not sure how your body will react to the motion of the ocean, the shorter sailings might be the way to go, specifically ones that have less sea days. So if you have a 3-night sailing, for example, on the Wish out of Port Canaveral, you are typically going to Nassau and one of the private islands, and you really don't have any day at sea, so all of the movement occurs from dinner time until the time you wake up. So easier to sleep through that, because if you're sleeping, you're not really going to feel the motion quite as much. So the shorter sailings would be better if you are new to sailing any kind of cruise ship.
Yeah. I think in general, it's great to start with a 3-night.
Yes.
If you have concerns about motion sickness, the fewer sea days, the better.
Yeah. So with that being said, now that you have potentially decided on which ship you wanted to sail on, which itinerary you want to sail on, now you have to pick the room. So as far as room choice, midship is going to be your best bet if you are prone to motion sickness. So if you're in the forward or the aft, you're going to be feeling the waves a little bit more. The midship is going to be the most stable sailing throughout. On top of that, the type of room to choose also plays a role. So there are inside staterooms, ocean view staterooms, and veranda staterooms. The inside staterooms would not be the way to go if you are prone to motion sickness, because you cannot see anything and you're just basically like locked in a room while everything's being shaken about. So not the way to go. It is always good to see the horizon if you do feel motion sick, so that's a plus. We prefer to do a veranda room, get some fresh air in there, and sometimes the portholes on the Disney Cruise Line have a fishbowl effect. The ones in the staterooms don't as much, but something to consider to avoid a ocean view room with that.
And we'll talk more about the windows later.
Yes. So now, as for the next category of ways to prevent or combat motion sickness, is some of the non-medication options that you have once you're on board. So as I mentioned before, seeing the horizon is always good. It's good to have a fixed point you can just stare at, and something that's not going to be moving as the whole ship is moving. If you were to be in a storm or something, or just rocky waters. Back to the windows that we mentioned before, specifically, I think this is on deck 3 and maybe 4.
It's in the atrium area and not as much on the Triton class.
Right.
But on some of the older of the ships in the fleet, in that main atrium area, a lot of the windows have like a fishbowl effect, and that just messes with my brain.
Yeah, we've been in line for pictures in the main atrium, and it's with the windows right there as we're waiting in line. It's pretty rough.
Or just walking down the hall, because you're walking
True.
at a different rate than
The ship is
everything looks
moving.
like it's moving, and the fishbowl effect just makes it even weirder. So I kind of put blinders on sometimes when we're in those hallway areas. So just be cognizant of that. It's totally fine to look out the windows, especially when you're not moving. But if you do have motion sickness, it's similar to like trying to read while you're driving. It
Right.
just messes with my brain and makes me nauseous.
Yeah. And kind of tagging on to that is one of your personal things for motion sickness is to not get hungry.
Yes. I feel like that always, sometimes when I get nauseous or when I get too hungry, then I already get nauseous. So for me, it's important, especially when we've done the late dining option on Disney Cruise Line, it's really important for me to have an afternoon snack, which is often something like French fries or just something salty, something carby, something that'll sit well in your stomach, okay, and just help you carry through to that 8 or 8:15 or 8:30 in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It was late in Europe for that dinner time, that seating, because that has helped me exponentially. Because sometimes you lose track of time and all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock, you're starving, the waves are starting to go, and it's just not a fun time. That happened on our honeymoon, but I did okay.
Yes.
Because we did lots of other things to help me stay happy and comfortable.
Yes.
There are several foods that I eat while I'm on a Disney cruise that help me keep my stomach settled. And one of those things when times are a little rougher is green apples. Green apples, apples in general. If you can't get your hands on a green apples in particular, but all apples are just part of that brat diet that helps settle your stomach. So we were on the Dream, things were getting rough, and I snagged the last green apple available in the quick service area. And it did help. It helped quite a bit. But other food items that I really like, they always have fried rice at breakfast or oatmeal and the hash brown triangles. Those are just one of my faves. But things that, like I said, with the French fry snack, things that are carby, things that aren't too rough on your stomach, and waffles. Mickey waffles, of course.
Of course.
You just have to start your day on the right foot and keep making sure you don't get too hungry so you don't get sick.
Yeah. Something else to mention that's available on all the Disney Cruise Line ships is the beverage station. So all the beverage stations will have ginger ale available or Sprite, something kind of citrusy to help settle your stomach, but specifically the ginger ale or any kind of ginger candies would be good to settle your stomach. In addition to that, they also have tea and coffee available, specifically like a peppermint tea or any kind of mint aspect is good to settle your stomach. So
I always reach for that peppermint tea.
yes. If you don't like tea, you don't have mints available, any kind of gum would also be good. Just something mint or something ginger is typically the way to go as kind of a safe bet for settling your stomach. And then the last thing that we do kind of preemptively on all our sailings is C-bands. So if you don't know what a C-band is, it's basically like a workout looking sweatband for your wrist that puts the pressure on your wrist pressure point that helps to ease your nausea. You prefer a different brand, and this is not sponsored by any means. This is just something we do all the time.
I wish, because we've spent quite a bit of money.
True.
But Blisslets, they sell them actually on the Disney ships, but they are more attractive than your traditional C-band that looks like you're ready to go work out.
Right.
But if you notice in pretty much all of our cruise videos, I'm wearing Blisslets, which again, just like C-bands, push on that pressure point to help with nausea. But Blisslets have several different color options. I have some that are kind of a pale pink that almost blend into my skin, so I don't feel like I am sticking out as that person.
Especially in pictures.
Yes, because we love to take pictures on the cruises. but I have several different styles. They also have some that are latex free if you are allergic to latex. I will say they are, unlike regular C-bands, they come in different sizes. I wear a size medium. The size small is made for kids. So if you have a little one, then that might be a great option for them as well. But check your sizing, and I would definitely recommend them.
Yeah.
And if you are desperate on board, like I said, they do sell them. They're going to be more expensive than if you bought before sailing, but if you don't want the traditional C-band look, they do sell them in the Disney Cruise Line gift shops.
Very true. And then moving into the medications, we will preface this by saying that this is not medical advice. This is just what we do for our own personal sailings.
So talk to your doctor.
Yes. This is not going to be right for everybody, not going to be applicable to kids and adults, but this is what we specifically do. So starting with over-the-counter medications, the ones that are kind of the go-to is Dramamine. So there's the regular Dramamine, which is the diamond hydronate, or there's the less drowsy Dramamine, which is meclizine. We typically do the less drowsy one because it's just once a day. It's a lot easier. The Dramamine itself is like every 6 hours, so easier as far as the dosing goes. And Dramamine tastes terrible.
If it touches your tongue, oh.
Yeah. So,
not that we're out here just popping Dramamine for fun, but in times when we have tried to be proactive and take our Dramamine or needed it on the cruise ship, we're always reaching for
something to chase it down with.
Yes.
The less drowsy one, though, the one that we use all the time is like a raspberries and cream chewable option, which still has a weird aftertaste, but it's a lot more tolerable than the original Dramamine.
And just the every 24 hours
is
that we would recommend it for that alone.
Right.
Meds aren't made to taste good.
No.
But like, if you can just take it every 24 hours, that's easier to remember. You just say, okay, at noon, we take our Dramamine.
True. And on top of that, for both the less drowsy and the regular Dramamine, you have to start taking it before you actually sail away. So keep that in mind as well.
So it has time to get to work.
Exactly. Something else to note with Dramamine is you might see like all natural Dramamine. Look at the ingredients, because if it is not diamond hydronate or meclizine, it's not going to be doing too much. I know one that I have seen is just really just ginger. So you're paying for the Dramamine name, but you're just getting ginger. So
at that point, they sell ginger capsules
for a lot cheaper,
or candy or gum.
Right.
So
yes,
keep that in mind. We don't want you to waste your money, because then you wouldn't have as much to spend on cool stuff on the Disney cruise.
Exactly. And then something else to note, you mentioned that the C-bands are available in the Disney gift shops. They also do have Dramamine in the gift shops. And we have seen, at least on a couple cruises, can't speak to all of them that we've been on, but they have free little packets, like single dose packets of Dramamine on the door of the health center on deck 1. We've at least seen it on like 2 sailings we've been on.
Yes, and so we can't promise that it's going to be there, but
if you're desperate, check there first.
And we're not trying to make it sound scary.
Right.
Like this is going to happen all the time. But Disney understands what they're doing, and they will make sure that you can access what you need.
Very true. And then the last over-the-counter medication that we typically use once we are starting to feel a little nauseous, try to combat the effects after it's already happening, is Pepto Chewable. Again, none of this is sponsored, and none of this is like medical advice, but this is what we do.
The cliched thing with Pepto is the liquid.
Right.
And that's hard when you're traveling.
Yes.
You don't want to take up space in your carry-on liquids baggie for Pepto-Bismol.
Right. So we avoid liquids as much as possible when we are able to do so.
Liquids and aerosols.
True. So the Pepto Chewables is the way to go for us. Easy to just throw a couple in your pocket. They're wrapped in like a little pouch of 10, individually wrapped though. So easy to transport, easy to throw in your purse for whenever we might need it. And then the last thing that we will mention, which we have not personally used, but I know it is very common, is a prescription medication. and it is the scopolamine patches that go behind your ear. Similar to Dramamine, it does make you pretty drowsy, but these patches last for 3 days, so you don't really need to worry about taking a dose every day. If you are prone to motion sickness, these are going to be a little more powerful than Dramamine, just because they are prescription.
But again, going back to what we said before, if you just see random patches
Yes.
at like Walgreens or whatever, that's not gonna do the job for you.
These are prescription only for a reason, so the ones you can get over the counter are not going to be the same.
So again, talk to your doctor.
Yes.
Talk to whoever you see for medical care, nurse practitioner, etc., etc. And if you have concerns, whether that's a history of motion sickness on cruises or just in cars in general, and you're nervous about it for your upcoming cruise, talk to your doctor about it. And if they feel like it's right for you, then hopefully they'll get you settled with that.
Yeah. But that just about does it for our techniques and what we do to combat or prevent motion sickness on our many Disney cruises.
Yes. If I can do it, you can do it, basically. Don't be scared. Talk to your doctor, talk to your medical providers, and be proactive. That's our best tip of them all. Be proactive, know how to take care of yourself, and then you'll be able to have more fun.
Very true. But that will do it for us today. We're getting excited for our upcoming cruise. There may be one video between now and the cruise. But we're looking forward to it. It's time for us to start getting ready to go.
Gotta pack.
But
have to pack my C-bands and my Blisslets and
all our medications.
Everything we talked about today.
Exactly. So that will do it for us for today. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you real soon.